Hello, my name is Lynne Torgerson. I'm running for Congress in the 5th Congressional District of the state of Minnesota. This includes the beautiful city of Minneapolis and its surrounding suburbs where I was born and raised. My opponent, Keith Hakeem Ellison, is from Detroit, Michigan. I want to first thank CTV North Suburbs, a local community television station, for allowing me as a candidate 10 minutes to speak to my voters. Thank you, CTV, for this valuable opportunity. Now, I'd like to give you some background on myself. I was born and raised in this area. I attended college at the University of Minnesota, Minneapolis campus. There, I got degrees in political science and psychology. Thereafter, I attended William Mitchell College of Law in St. Paul, Minnesota. While there, I was on law review and eventually graduated with honors. After that, I obtained a position with the Honorable Ralph J. Geffen, the United States Magistrate for the United States District Court, Central District of California. I then returned to Minneapolis and started my own successful law practice, which I've had downtown Minneapolis for the past 15 years. I want to mention that over the past 20 years as a lawyer, I have devoted my life to protecting the civil and constitutional rights of people of all races, nationalities, and religions. I want to mention that in particular because I have some tough issues to address, and I want you to know that what I have to say and do has nothing to do with race or religion. I also want to mention that I'm running as an independent without any party affiliation, and running that way, I am good at dealing with all sorts of different people, including Democrats, Independents, Republicans, Greens. I am friendly to all of these groups and have friends in all of those groups. Now, I'd like to deal with some of the tougher issues. I'm running for Congress because I want to keep and protect the America's freedoms, the American dream, and the U.S. Constitution. America is not perfect, but it's by far the safest, best, and most prosperous country on earth, and that is worth keeping and protecting. I also want to wake up America to the threat of political ideological Islam. Now, this has nothing to do with religion. Only a small part of Islam, which is the worship of the moon god Allah, is religion. The remainder is a rather hostile foreign political ideology that is at odds with our U.S. Constitution. I also want to address some issues with my opponent, Keith Hakeem X. Ellison. These are all names that he has taken during his lifetime. Keith Ellison, for most of his adult life, has associated himself with the most extremist groups around. While in college, he aligned himself with the Nation of Islam, headed up by Louis Farrakhan, which espouses racism. Since college, he has associated himself with an organization by the name of CAIR and its founders and leaders. CAIR is spelled C-A-I-R and stands for the Council on American Islamic Relations. This organization has ties to terrorism. Recently, CAIR was a named co-conspirator to the Holy Land Foundation trial, which was convicted of sending $12 million to a terrorist organization, Hamas. CAIR also helps Keith Ellison raise funds, and Keith Ellison helps CAIR raise funds. CAIR is a radical Islamist organization whose founders and leaders have been quoted as espousing the elimination of the U.S. Constitution and replacing it with Sharia Islamic law. In contrast, I stand for the freedoms established by our forefathers and which are framed in our U.S. Constitution. I also want to talk to you about the very difficult concept of the threat of radical Islamism, also known as political ideological Islam. This is different than the religion part of Islam. This is important because estimates are that of the 1.2 billion Muslims in the world, approximately 12 to 15% have been radicalized. This amounts to approximately 150 million radicalized Muslims. That is roughly one half the entire population of the United States. Radical Islam comes in two forms. One is the standard terrorism with the blowing up of planes, trains, and automobiles. The second form is hidden and it's coming to America. These radical Islamists who hate America are coming here, getting jobs, becoming involved in politics, and they wish to take over America from within. They wish to eliminate our cherished U.S. Constitution and our freedoms and replace them with Sharia Islamic law. Radical Islamists need to be exposed and stopped. I am the person to do this. In contrast, my opponent, Keith Hakeem X. Ellison, actually closely associates himself with named co-conspirators to funding terrorism. Another example of problems of radical Islamism in our country is a recent infringement on our First Amendment freedoms of speech. Recently, the adult cartoon show South Park had a show which portrayed Muhammad in a bear suit. As a result, a radical Islamist group issued veiled death threats to the makers of South Park. In consequence, apparently out of fear, the producers of South Park canceled the show. This constitutes the actual infringement on our First Amendment freedoms of speech in America by radical Islamists. This must be reversed and stopped. We can never not do anything out of fear to radical Islamists. I also want to talk to you about a lighter topic, and that is the development of clean energy. We in America need to develop clean energy. This is another way to both protect and grow America. We need to develop our sun, wind, water, and geothermal, which is underground, resources. This would address so many needs in America. It would create clean jobs, it would help the economy, it would help the environment, and it would also reduce our dependence on foreign oil. We need to develop alternative sources of energy and reduce our dependence on foreign oil because I'm told America spends approximately $400,000 a minute on foreign oil. I am the person to help protect America's freedoms, not my opponent, Keith Ellison, who actually helps suspected terrorist funders. So vote for me, Lynne Torgerson, this November and help me protect America by ousting Keith Ellison from office. Thank you and God bless.